Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC event. With your hosts, TB Scouting MMA and
The Guru back again for UFC Vegas 77. Holly Holm, the preacher's daughter, taking on Myra Bueno Silva in your bantamweight main event. Holly Holm continuing to ride the Ronda Rousey knockout to yet another main event spot. Can't believe it. Can't believe we're here. We got a doozy of a card. You're only missing this one if you're a dang casual. That's why we brought in some heavy artillery to make sure we don't miss. We got the UFC analyst of CBS Sportsline, DFS contributor for Ship It Nation, and make sure you're checking out his stuff at BigMarleyMMA.com. I mean, he's all over the place, but what he's doing is he's cashing tickets. Kyle Marley, welcome back. What's good, my brother?
Hey, thanks for having me back on. It's a fun podcast. I've been on before. Glad to be on again. And man, we couldn't have had a better card for this talk, guys.
Absolutely, man. Really appreciate you so much for coming on. You're doing our boy Dan Levy's show after this, right? Or make sure you go check it out.
He already
did it. So I got to go check it out too. So make sure you guys all check it out as well, because that's some good stuff right there.
And before we get down to what everybody came for, Holm versus Bueno Silva, just going to ask the people out there, please do us a solid. Throw a like on the video. Subscribe to our channel. We're on the count, over 400, on our way to 5. Please help us out any way you can. Best bets, best guess, always free. Like we said, we got the big dog. We got Big Marley. So we're not going to make you wait any longer. Let's get into it. Ooh, new graphic alert. We got a bantamweight fight. We got Holly Holm versus Myra Bueno Silva, the one that all the people have been asking for. And they said, if you're going to make this fight, you better make it a main event. You got the preacher's daughter. You got Itar. What more could we ask for? Is Holly Holm going to get into the clinch fest, the offensive wrestling, the dancing around the cage and leading in opponents, stepping into her footwork with the slick counters? Or are we going to get Itar Silva out there marching forward with the Muay Thai stance, landing heavy kicks to the body, to the legs, even throwing in some head kicks? Nice boxing. Are we going to see Silva get some grappling going? Is she going to be able to pull off a submission against Holly Holm? There's a lot of questions I have about this matchup, but quite frankly, from who is going to have the more dominant skill to win this matchup, Holly Holm's offensive wrestling, should she stay safe from submission, I mean, she should be able to bang some rounds here. She's got the 5-round experience, but she's also got the experience. She's 41 years old. Silva, 31. I mean, Holly's going to have a size advantage. 2 inches height, 2 inches reach. I'm leaning towards Holly, but I think Silva's going to be more dangerous just about in every realm. I think she's going to be more liable for a finish than Holly Holm in this fight. And for that reason, at underdog money, it makes me want to put a little play out there on Silva, but something's keeping me from pulling the trigger. I think we're going to see some Holly Holm top control. I lean towards Silva as the pick, but I don't have any money there yet. Guru, you got something more definitive?
Yeah, I don't agree with where you're at this point in time. I really like Holly Holm in this spot, and there's multiple reasons why. Terrence says hello, by the way. We've got Holly Holm is somebody who, yes, we're expecting at age 41 for her skills to kind of continue to, decline and deteriorate, right? Like, she's not in her prime anymore. It's just a fact of life and a fact of nature. However, she's found a new way to kind of get wins and get things done. This elite kickboxer who just, again, knocking out Ronda Rousey with a head kick has now become a clinch and grapple fest type person, completely changing up her game. And, to your point, TB, if this fight stays on the feet for 25 minutes, I don't like it for Holly Holm, which again is kind of crazy with her Hall of Fame boxing induction, right? So it's just interesting how MMA has really changed. The problem for Myra Bueno Silva, at least that I see, is she's fought nobody. This is not one step up in competition. This is 2 steps up in competition. Beating the corpse of Lena Landsberg, The Stephanie Egger fight, which was just weird in general. Did she tap? Did she not tap? Like, I mean, Egger's just a kind of a one-dimensional fighter anyway. Wu Yaonan, is she still even in the UFC? Like, just low level. She gets out clinched for over 5 minutes by Monfiorot. Fiorot is a striker. So, I mean, to your point, maybe she's like, oh, maybe Fiorot didn't want to stay at the feet super duper long with her, and that's fine. At the same time, Holly's going to be able to take that path much easier. You look back at the Montana De La Rosa draw, and that's the one to me that really stands out. It hasn't been that long, right? It's only 2021, right? So it's only 2 years removed. And man, she's not stuffing takedowns. She's a zero off her back. She's not fighting to get up. She's not using butterfly guards. She's not even, hunting for legit submissions from that. Like, she's not doing anything. Zero from her back. So you look at somebody like Holly Holm, has only been submitted one time, right? Has only been submitted one time in round 5 by Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate, at the time, prime of her career, wrestler, just grounded her out and drowned her again in a 5-round fight, which this is as well. But I can't. Bueno Silva's cardio has not necessarily been one that we should be writing home about. So I understand some of the trepidation, especially with women's underdogs. I'm on Holly Holm, and I believe I have a bet in it -140. So I have a unit at -140, and that's how I feel about it. I like Holly Holm round 4 or 5 decision -125. I mean, at -165, it really isn't much of a difference, honestly. So I just don't think that Buena gets the finish. If she does, I think Holly Holm hangs up her gloves. So without further ado, Mr. Marley, what do you got?
Well, I guess I'm in the middle. I am going to pick Holm as well for all the reasons you mentioned, but I like your -140 number. You had a 5% discount over the current number, so I would be okay with that. But now we're looking at like a 63% implied win probability for Holly Holm. And at 41 years old, I worry about the wheels falling off. I just don't know how long she can keep up the highest level of competition. So I don't think there's any value left. Maybe if the line keeps climbing, I'll be interested in the Mayra Bueno Silva side. I do think she is more likely to get a finish, whether that be a knockout or submission, really. I don't know about the knockout, but if she can get the fight to the ground, especially in top control, I think Holm could be in a lot of trouble here. But she just never looks to wrestle. She did against Lena Landsberg. She got 2 takedowns, which I like to see, but that was her first 2 takedowns in the UFC. And the best thing about her offensive game plan is her grappling when she gets the fight to the ground. And I don't know that she can outstrike Holly Holm for 5 rounds, maybe 1 or 2. But if she's not landing takedowns, I just think this is a tough test unless we see a lesser version of Holly in this one. So I'm going to pick Holm to win. I just don't think the value's there anymore. The line keeps climbing, so if it keeps climbing, I might just switch my pick and go to the other side and take Mayra Bueno Silva. 10 years younger, you got to like that. The fighter 10 years younger wins about 67% of the time, so I like those odds when you're giving me +140. But I don't think she's going to be able to have too much wrestling success, so I see Holm winning 4 rounds on the feet.
I guess what I'm kind of curious about is, do we have like a Clay Guida, Claudio Puella situation? If this thing hits like knee bar city, is Holly Holm training those defenses?
Again, bro, like I'm not even like Holly Holm is a world champion. Like I'm not like she's not getting fluke knee barred by Buenos. I mean, this girl's gonna have to tear her knee out. Like she's gonna have to really earn it. She's not just gonna fluke get it. And you watch Holly Holm. Maybe it would be a problem if Bueno Silva was on top. But like Kyle says, not only is Bueno Silva not somebody that's generally offensively wrestling, but who the fuck takes down Holly Holm? Caitlin Vieira went 1 of 7. I mean, who actually has success taking down Holly Holm? Pennington went 1 of 2, but only a minute of control time. Like, who actually has success taking down Holly Holm? Last one is Valentina Shevchenko got 3 takedowns. Like, what are we talking about anymore? Like, no, it's not happening. So,
well, I mean, with like 4 or 5 decision, I don't think we're even getting plus money there. I mean, Holly Holm and over 3.5 is -120.
Yeah, you probably just got to take Holly Holm by decision. or round 5 decision on
Holly
DraftKings.
Holm decision is plus 100. I almost lean to like an under 4.5 at plus 165, or a fight doesn't go the distance, because I don't love Silva's gas tank, but same time, her only losses have ever come by decision.
The last time Holly finished somebody was Betch Kohea in 2017 in round 3. It took some time. A little ski.
Damn. Well, that's fair. I guess things aside here, it looks like we should have an offensive wrestling performance, and it should be Holly. I'd be interested in seeing if we can find a prop, but I do like the line you got also at the minus 140. Good move getting ahead of it. And
I actually lied. I have minus 150. I feel like a piece of shit.
Wow, unbelievable.
He's
Yeah,
lost.
I gotta
2%,
be honest.
So I don't know how much I like it anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
Legitimate garbage.
I know. Minus 140 was there. I didn't pull the trigger, and then I think minus 150 was the only one left, and then I took it, and now that's gone too. So,
damn. Well, shout out to the chat. We got Daz popping in. We got Mushroom. Smash the like and like the smash.
I'm about to smash that. About to smash some. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. Justin, shout out, always in the chat. Appreciate all you guys always showing up here. Wouldn't be doing the show without you guys. And we all know you just came here for this Holly Holm versus Bueno Silva. But unfortunately, it's time for our big co-main event. We're moving on. We got Albert Duraev, Machete versus Jung-Young Park, the Iron Turtle. It's a pretty good nickname off, I must say. Duraev at plus 125, Park, the Iron Turtle at minus 145. We did see that shell get exposed a bit as he loses by knockouts to Gregory Rodriguez. Coming back, gets his first 2 UFC submission wins over Tiululin and Joseph Holmes, both of whom probably should not be in the UFC at this point. I think one of them might not already be. But Albert Duraev, you see him come out in the Njokuani fight. I mean, I think that fight kind of comes down to Njokuani's unwillingness to kind of throw volume as the fight moves on there. It seems like Duraev has a tough time getting his offensive wrestling and top control consistently. I think he's pretty good at wrestling, but it seems like his jiu-jitsu and top control just aren't on the same level as his like initial shot. I think Park has shown to have a good get-up game, and he will try to work to his feet even in difficult positions. Rodriguez is able to kind of hold him down on the mat with the body triangle, and I think Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is able to kind of outwork him with pace overall. But you see even a big guy like Eric Anders that has had wrestling success in the past go like 3-22 at takedowns on Park. Duraev, I mean, this guy goes 2 or 3 of like 17 over his fights against Kopylov and against Buckley. It's not pretty. And Njokuani has a little bit more success, but even as the fight goes on, you see some of that success go down. I like Jung-Young Park here. I think he's got more volume overall on the feet. I think he's the better boxer, and I think he should be able to hold his own in the grappling exchanges. It's just I don't necessarily want to pay chalk here on the guy whose only losses come by finish in the UFC. It seems like a scary angle to take chalk here on Park, especially as this line keeps on coming closer as I see, plenty of action, plenty of peeps out there on the Park side. What do you got here, Guru? I'm picking Park.
I'm really stuck on this one, man. And maybe somebody like Kyle can help me figure out where I need to be. But personally, like, I'm just not getting there on Park. I'm not quite there. It's like one of them sneaky fights. I feel like a lot of people are going to have confidence in Park, and he might just not get it done. He's got suspect fight IQ. You've seen it in the Gregory Rodriguez fight. You've seen him have just kind of a poor performance or leave much to be desired in the Eric Anders fight, right? That fight was too close for no. I mean, I thought he won, but that fight was way too close for no reason. And then you watch him beat Joseph Holmes and Dennis Tiululin, who, let's just be honest, they're the bottom tier of this division. So it shows nothing about his skill level other than he's not there. Like, he's obviously better than that, which we already knew. He was a sizable favorite in both those fights. But to me, what I see is like when he's left to his devices, look, he gets 2 rear naked chokes. He wants to grapple. He wants to go to the ground. So that to me is problematic when you're not going to have the size, and Duraev is going to have the power and to be better at wrestling. He's going to be the better grappler, and that's a problem. Even though he hasn't been somebody that's used it as much, being unsuccessful against Kopylov and Njokuani, right, statistically. But, I mean, he's still getting the job done. So, I feel like even his narrative of just being like KO, like just poor chin, like I feel like he's kind of fought that off a little bit in terms of not getting knocked out by Njokuani, who everybody and their grandma was calling for. And, I mean, yeah, he got stopped by Joaquin Buckley, but let's not forget that it was an eye swelling stoppage because he has maybe suspect striking defense. It wasn't his chin that got him in trouble with a guy that's put a ton of people to sleep. So for that reason, I'm not there yet on really either side. I'm kind of leaning the dog. And what I actually like is fight to go the distance at -115 pick'em. I think if there is a KO, it's Jung Young Park catches him, and it's a chin issue like we were just discussing. But I kind of think there's a little bit of fallacy in that. So I think these boys are going to scrap, and let's go 15 minutes. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm leaning Park here. I think the best way to bet it, though, would be to wait after the first round. You might see Derive get 2 or 3 takedowns in that first round, and then the line flip or Park plus 170 or something like that going into the second. But then I think Park is the one that's going to be fighting for your money in the second and the third round, especially if Derive is having success in that first. I think it's going to slow him down. At 34 years old, he's already slowing down as the rounds move on, and he's not putting his stamp on these rounds either. So if he is going out there and slamming Park to the ground, I just don't see him having success for a full 15 minutes. I like Park to have the striking success if he can keep this fight on the feet. And I also think Park could land his own takedowns. If Derive is off his back, I'm really not worried about it. So I just am going to lean more towards the Park side because he has more ways to win. But at the same time, it wouldn't shock me to see Derive go out there and win 2 rounds or win 1 round, and then the blind judges think he wins another one. So I'm just going to wait, maybe do the live bet angle, but I'm going to avoid a pre-fight bet, I think, on this one and just pick Park by decision.
So you like my fight goes a distance idea?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see a finish, but I favor that slightly.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah, most of their wins come in the UFC by finish. Derive's 2 wins have been by finish. Park's 4 out of 6 wins have been by finish. The thing that worries me is that all of their losses, all of 4 out of 6
wins have been by decision in the UFC.
Was I saying finish?
You did.
I meant to say their wins have come by decision. Their losses have come by finish. That's kind of where I start getting concerned about the fight goes the distance prop. But in the same way, I would like to throw back to the Zach Paunga and Jordan Wright fight. Which guy's going to finish the other here, realistically? Like, is either guy that good of a finisher, or were they just kind of fighting guys that were easier to finish? I think both of them have shown good overall durability. And the fact that Derive lost due to his eye being closed rather than him actually physically being knocked out, I think that says something. And Derive, he sure doesn't hit like Gregory Rodriguez. So,
no.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts on this one, guys?
I think you're kind of making me feel even better about my fight goes the distance play. We might even be able to get a better line on FanDuel when that opens up. I almost even maybe consider it's kind of chalky, and we never talk about it, but it's like the plus 3.5 point spread on Derive. It's -160, so that's a little too chalky. But like Kyle Marley was saying, I mean, he might just be able to win at least 1 round, right? So, but fuck these judges too.
But it also wouldn't surprise me to see Park win 30-27. So I don't know if I would
see that kind of would surprise me. But to your point, and I didn't make the case for it very well. Derive's cardio is a little bit suspect, to say the least.
Yeah. I definitely think it should be aligned closely. I do agree with where the line's at and the slight lean, but would not be surprised to see either guy pull off the decision. Oh man, now this is the fight I've actually been waiting for. We got Norma Dumont at featherweight. Oh man, we're getting the as good old Laura Sanko would say, we're getting the dump truck appearance. Let's go. Norma Dumont versus Chelsea cornbread milk-fed Chandler.
209 Stockton
209. Yeah, let's go. We got fucking Norma at -135. We got Chelsea Chandler at +115. Chandler's going to be the younger fighter. She's going to have one. Oh, wait a second. I think that age is totally fucked. I think it was listed wrong on fucking Tapology. She might be fucking older, bro. Oh, God.
Yeah, they're both
Chelsea Chandler
1990.
is 32. They're the same age.
Fuck.
And that's what it's listed at on Tapology is 32. So you just have it wrong, you little skeeter.
I saw a scandal out there on Twitter earlier that it was listed incorrectly and it's been changed since. So
right, well.
that's where I got my original information from. I would like to apologize. Anyways, Chelsea Chandler at +115. I mean, she's going to be the bigger fighter throwing the more aggressive shots. She's shown to have the defensive grappling chops to get out of a bad position against a submission first grappler. That got her there, yes, but I think Norma Dumont, she's a little slower to go for those offensive takedowns. She's a bit more of a clinch game, a bit more of play a safe distance striking game. Chelsea Chandler comes out there looking to take someone's head off. I think I kind of discounted her coming into her UFC debut, but looking at the power she puts into these shots and the defensive wrestling and reversals, I think Norma Dumont, when you push a pace on her, she doesn't respond well to it. Always going to be a tough weight cut, whether it's 135 or 145 for Norma Dumont, quite frankly. And I'm going to take Chandler here. I like the dog shot here on Chelsea Chandler. Should be the bigger fighter, more aggressive, and has the defensive wrestling and grappling to stay safe if Dumont tries to play it safe. I got Chandler.
Another really weird fight where I kind of almost want to take the dog who has the size advantage, especially in women's MMA where the size and physicality can really mean so much. I'm also just a little concerned about the overall experience. What Chandler looks like, as the fight really plays out. She's had a bunch of finishes lately. I mean, the Courtney King fight was not fantastic. I don't know, just nothing, not a lot there. We're really just trying to see what we have in her, and beating Julia Stolyarenko just doesn't show me much of anything. So Norma Dumont is somebody that's been there and done that. Has fought, beat Carol Hosa, beat Aspen Ladd. Whether she beat Felicia Spencer or not, we can argue, but who wants to rewatch that fight to argue about it? So yeah, just tough, man. Very, very tough. I also feel like the sharps, I feel like people have kind of kept this line from exploding because there's just been a lot of back and forth fluctuation. So I kind of lean Dumont, but I want to see them face off. I'm just concerned. I just wonder if Dumont will just be able to control her in the clinch and whether Chandler gets, discouraged or, what type of offense she tends to mount, because she's going to need to be chaotic. She's going to need to hit her a lot. And, when you get overzealous, you can put yourself in bad positions, and Norma might be the type of fighter to be able to capitalize on that. So yeah, I just don't really see too much from a gambling perspective unless you really feel good about a side, which I don't. So Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't feel good about a side either. And another one where even if you do, you still got to trust the judges. And this is a fight where you're probably going to be sweating if it goes to the scorecards. I think it's going to be a clinch fest. I mean, who's going to have more success in that? I don't know. I think Dumont. I just think she's the stronger fighter. I don't know about better top control. I think whoever gets takedowns can just grind out time and win rounds that way. But I don't have a real lean on who that's going to be. Same thing with the clinch. On the feet, I think Dumont throws the crisper strikes, more power in her strikes. I think she's faster. But Chandler's going to be throwing more. She's going to be the one pushing forward, setting the pace. So I don't know, man. And even if we think one of them wins 2 rounds, we might get a judge that thinks the other one won 3. So it's just one that I'm going to stay away from. I really want nothing to do with this fight. And on DraftKings, I don't really see either one of them scoring too great either if it is back and forth. So this might be a fight where I just go take the dogs for a walk or something. But give me Dumont to win 2 rounds.
I like that. That's funny. Dumont to win 2 rounds. Yeah. I like it. That's interesting.
I think what stood out to me overall was Norma Dumont not being able to finish Danielle Wolf, even when having such an inexperienced fighter in deep waters. That stood out to me that Chelsea Chandler is not in danger of being finished in this fight. I think she's a much better fighter defensively and is much bigger. Like physically, not just tall, but like physically stronger than Danielle Wolf. And then 2, Norma Dumont gets knocked down not just by Megan Anderson, but she gets knocked the fuck down by Carol Hossa in their last fight. I think Chandler putting on that pressure, putting on that pace. Norma's cut to 145 like is not that easy, even though she's been to. I'm telling you, I think Chandler can chin her, and I think at plus 350. I just play the money line. It's still like plus. It's now at plus 120. It's moved since I did these lines at 4:00. So
it was plus 125 yesterday. So
yeah, so it fluctuates. Just like Norman Dumont trying to go from 135 to 145 when 145 doesn't even not even going to exist anymore. So what are we even doing here?
I don't know. If Ronda Rousey comes back, they could keep the division open.
Oh, saucy. All right. But Cairo, shout out, likes Dumont, but I never bet this. Yes, I love Dumont. Don't get me wrong. Love Dumont. But yeah, I feel you on that for sure. WMMA size matters. Yes, Daz, size does matter, unfortunately.
Don't ask TV about that, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But here we go. We got the lightweight match. We got Otman Itar, 11 years the senior, to Francisco Prado. Do we have good nicknames here? We got do we got anything good?
The Bulldozer.
The Bulldozer. Otman Itar versus Francisco. Forget about it, Prado. Nobody wants to go back to that Jamie Malarkey WrestleFest. Francisco, he's a little bit happy to throw some crazy kicks, spinning stuff from distance. He's flashy, but he's definitely got some power. He's got good athletic ability. I just think that he does leave a little bit to be desired from a defensive perspective, striking and grappling. I think Otman Itar should be able to stuff any takedown attempts at Prado here. And I think he's going to have the better power and the cleaner, crisper boxing on the feet. And when Prado goes for one of these kicks or puts himself out of position, I think Itar is going to be able to finish the story here. Undefeated up until he ran into the steamroller.
Steamroller.
Can you really blame Mr. Potato Head Otman Itar? What was in the bag? It was potatoes. Can you blame the guy for getting knocked out by Matt Frivola?
No.
I don't think Francisco Prado brings as much of a threat physically and technically and from an experience standpoint that Frivola does. And I think Itar has shown he can make it a quick night for anybody. He does have one decision win on the record, just in case we have to go that far. But yeah, I think either way he should be putting active damage on Prado and able to dig in. And I took him when he was still a plus 100 over on Bet365, over out on minus 105 now on DraftKings. What do you got here, Guru?
Yeah, I mean, I am kind of with you in terms of being on Otman Itar plus money. So that's really the only way I can recommend it. Now that line has shifted, I don't feel good about it. Being 10 years older, not ideal. Basically just kind of being a guy that doesn't really necessarily have a lot of cardio, right? What was in the bag was probably an IV, he did from a weight, what I mean? He's probably not doing too hot, has 9 round 1 finishes himself. Seems to be kind of dependent of that. Francisco Prado is a guy that's never been finished in his pro career, a tough guy. So part of me wants to fade the over 1.5, fade that narrative and hope that the fight kind of extends out. But if it does, I don't think there's any chance that Otman Itar wins. At all. And you have to wonder at 32 years old, you were saying that Prado maybe isn't a problem on the feet. I mean, he's got 5 wins by KO. And in my notes, the first thing I write about him is that he's got power punches and fight-changing power. So sure, he's not steamroller Frivola. Nobody is, except the one and only. But if Otman Itar looks like he did versus Frivola, slow, out of rhythm, old, he's gonna get clipped again, and that's a problem. So while I like I said, Itar, and even by round 1 finish, because I think that's the dart throw you have to take on him. You can get Prado by knockout plus 225. So it's like tough. I want to hear what somebody like Mr. Marley has to say.
Yeah, I can't wait for this fight. I don't have a real lean on who's going to land that knockout, but I expect to see a knockout at some point. I just think these two guys are going to meet in the middle and fight in a phone booth basically until one guy falls. Like I said, I don't have a lean on who that's going to be, but 10 years younger for Prado. Fighters 10 years younger win 67% of the time. I like that. I think if this fight gets extended, it's going to be Prado. And I think if either one of these guys is landing takedowns, it's going to be Prado. And if either one of these guys is going to look better than they did in their last fight, I think it's going to be Prado. So I'm leaning towards Prado here, but he could just get flatlined in 15 seconds, and it wouldn't shock me at all. So I like the under 1.5. I don't think Azatar has more than 6 minutes worth of his style anyway. So I think this one ends in the first round. Give me Prado by knockout, whether it be on the feet or ground and pound.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. What if we went even crazier, right? What if we did, fight doesn't start round 2, minus 110. Like, just pick violence, baby. Pick them for violence.
All of Itar's fights in the UFC have ended in the first round, all by knockout. And Prado goes to decision with Malarkey, who uses that offensive wrestling. Itar is going to be swinging in the pocket, baby. So maybe you're onto something here, Guru.
I definitely think I like that. And listen, Mr. Marley's all over, man. He said that he's thinking violence for sure. And I don't know. I don't want to get in front of the train of fading that narrative. So minus.
So what was that line? Minus 110 on fight
minus one
round 2.
Yeah. So just violence in round 1 from either side. Somebody's got to die.
Yeah, I just don't see how it's not violence with these guys, especially the Azatar side.
Yeah. He just didn't look good. Like, he's either going to kill him or he's going to die. Like,
he doesn't get paid by the minute, man. He's not trying to sit around and waste time. He's trying to get in and out and onto the club.
And let's be real. He's had 2 UFC fights. He knocked out Kama Worthy, who everybody knocks out. And I mean everybody. And
when I say everything, I mean everything.
Timu Pakian. I mean, how many fights did that guy even have in the UFC? Like 2 max. Like, that guy is not anybody. So we really don't know shit about Atman Itar, and that's basically what we had said for the Frivola fight. It's like, why the fuck is this guy favored? It made no sense, and you saw it in the result. He couldn't even touch Frivola. So.
Yeah, I mean, going from a top 15 matchup to a guy that just lost to Jamie Malarkey is definitely a step down in competition, but I get it. Prado should be live for a finish, and I think your angle is going to be a safer one.
Yeah, but he wasn't top 15 when he fought Itar, and that's why he was an underdog.
I mean, but this is also the same guy that, I mean, Drew Dober's never been knocked out before.
No,
guess who does it?
So, no, of course. Frivola again is a beast. I'm not even sure if he's getting enough credit for knocking out Itar or Dober, but yeah, obviously the dude was on a run.
Fair enough. So, anyways, I think brings us on along to this is talk about spicy matchups. We got Nazim Sadikov.
Now this is the fight that everybody's been waiting for. This is the people's main event. This is an exciting fight. This is probably the best fight of the card.
We got the Black Wolf versus T-Rex. Nazim Sadikov versus Terrence McKinney. Minus 135. Sadikov plus 115 McKinney. I mean, age, just about identical. Height, identical. Terrence McKinney going to have a 4.5-inch reach advantage. And he's got a big-time submission win on paper advantage. Listen, Sadikov, great pressure on the front foot, spinning kicks, able to work legs, body, head with his striking. Defensively leaves a bit to be desired for me. Terrence McKinney, elite fighter for about 4 minutes if he chooses to go that path. If not, as we saw last fight, can be a bit tentative and not the most technical of fighters. But Terrence McKinney, I mean, let's be serious here. I mean, explosive offensive wrestling, good back takes, able to use the back well, body triangle. explosive striker on the feet when it's there. Someone else that's knocked down Drew Dober, couldn't quite put him out. But yeah, once we get past that 3-4 minute mark, you're not getting the same Terrence McKinney, especially if he's coming out, T-Rex style. Sadikov, I've seen him dropped by Evan Elder. I've seen him dropped on the regional scene. I seen him lose the first 2 rounds to Evan Elder before landing a nicely timed knee on a takedown entry that ends up leading to the cut that, hey, they're going to call that fight for the cut in that location. But at the end of the day, you're also down 2 rounds, and I'm seeing you get hurt. Terrence McKinney, if you get dropped by Terrence McKinney in this matchup, I don't have the faith that Sadikov avoids a back-taken submission loss or a ground and pound finish. I think towards the dog and McKinney, who I think is a bit undervalued here off of his Bonfim highlight reel loss. But to be 3-2 in the UFC is actually extremely difficult. And I think Sadikov got away lucky on his 1-0. Also, to fight guys like Drew Dober, to fight a guy like Ishmael Bonfim, he beats Matt Frivola. He also gets to face Free CM. Like Terrence McKinney, he's got a pretty solid lineup here of good fights in the UFC. He fights Sean Woodson on the regional scene. Okay, ZM kind of not the best, but all those other guys, it's legit, right? So Sadikov, while he comes out of a good gym and he's got good offensive skills, I'm not sure if he's defensively safe enough here against a guy like McKinney that could just take your head off and then take your back, which I've seen Sadikov give up both types of opportunities. So I'm going with the dog here once again. I got McKinney.
Another unbelievably tough fight that's given me a ton of agita. Terrence, like you said, Terrence McKinney is an elite fighter for about 4 minutes. That's what he's got for you. He's one of the best in the world for about 4 minutes. And after that point, there's nothing there. I know Nazim has more cardio than that. Nazim trains heavily with Matt Frivola in that camp. So he's a stud. He's made some mistakes, as you've seen. He has been hit, and like you said, he's been taken down, put in a couple bad positions, submitted via rear naked choke in round 1 in his professional debut. Not really sure if I agree with your assessment of the Evan Elder fight. I think it's a really close fight. I think Evan Elder has shown his well-roundedness. He shows that he really had to grapple a lot to try to beat Nazim, which took 2 rounds. And then you really can't take anything away from Nazim, right? He throws a knee, he hits Evan Elder fair and square, and it splits his fucking brow open, and they stop the fight immediately. So, dude causes devastating damage. It's what he does. So for that reason, it becomes really tough to take McKinney because you've seen him not fight for your money after a certain point, take some damage against Dober, take some damage against, is winning versus Bonfim, is wrestling versus Bonfim, and is done after round 1. There's nothing there. He wins round 1 and then is done and loses the fight. So, really, really tough to take McKinney. I think if you take him, you have to take him round 1. You have to take a specific dart throw. Otherwise, I think this fight might present a live betting opportunity in that I expect McKinney to win round 1. And if he somehow doesn't get the finish, you might be able to see Nazim at a nice ticket. And down the stretch, I think he's the one you want to be on. So really an unbelievable fight. One, like I said, I'm unbelievably excited for of the whole card. This is the one. So what do you think, Kyle? You're muted, my friend.
My bad. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Probably the second most, after the last fight we just talked about. But yeah, I kind of like McKinney. It's just that he's so hard to handicap because you get a good 1 round and then he falls apart after that. So I favor him in the first round, but then I favor Sadikov in the second. And if it gets to the third, I favor him there even more. So, but I'm going to pick McKinney to get a first round finish. I don't mind just taking the shot at that, whatever, plus 225 or whatever it is in the first round. Or if you want to take a shot at a better number in the knockout or submission, because I think he could have success in either area in the first round. If he wants to go for takedowns, I think he could lock up a submission or a ground and pound stoppage, or he could just crack him on the feet and knock him out there. I think, a little bit towards the knockout. But, man, either way, it could be over quick with Terrence McKinney. It's just that we need him to come out with that fire. If he's trying to change his style into a 15-minute fighter, I don't know if I'm going to like that McKinney. So give me Terrence McKinney, who came into the UFC just hot out of the gates, and I think he's very live here to finish this guy in the first 2 minutes of the fight. If he doesn't, the longer it goes, the more it's going to favor Sadikov. But I'll take McKinney, and hopefully he can get it done.
Yeah, hard to hate dog money on Terrence McKinney. I mean, that's always a fun play.
Yeah, and that's kind of where if you got if McKinney was the favorite here, I mean, I've got it, but I want to be. You never take McKinney as a favorite, but yeah, I mean, a dog in his debut against Frivola. I mean, he was nearly even money against Frizium, right? Because he was coming off of the Dober loss.
Yeah, but think about that, right? So now that's a completed triangle, right? So talk about flukes, talk about the craziness of MMA. Terrence McKinney knocks out Frivola knocks out Dober knocks out McKinney. What the fuck? It's a complete triangle. It doesn't mean anything. It's like any given Sunday. It's at anybody's time and at any point. So I mean, realistically, I think if McKinney and Frivola run it back, I think Frivola wins. So, he's certainly not getting knocked out in 6 seconds.
Right. I would almost say fight to end by knockout, but Sadikov's only loss was submission. Even though it was his first fight, I've seen him give up the back take. So
he's tough, dude. He's tough as nails. I actually think it was funny because Kyle had said that he kind of liked the knockout over the submission for McKinney. I actually think I like the submission over the knockout for McKinney. And if McKinney even has half a brain, he will not. If he wants to win in round 1, you go for the grappling, right? You don't want to strike with this guy who's just as tough as you, hasn't been knocked out, good striker. You take him down. He's shown holes there. So that's where I would go. And again, another guy, he's training at Serra-Longo. Like, he's not exactly his grappling's going to get better and better as he goes along here.
Guru's kind of like Ice Spice sometimes. He always leaves you with the like.
You a munch. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. Jesus. My God, he knows more than he thinks. Oh, God. Yeah, we don't need none of that. Anyways, what we do need is you guys to throw a like on this video. Please subscribe. Helps us out a ton. Get that algorithm going. Get the Chronic Boys some likes. Make sure you're following Big Marley 3 out there on the Twitterverse. MMA Marley. He's out there. He's got amazing picks, so make sure you're on that. We're moving along. We got a featherweight matchup. We got Tucker Lutz against Melsik the Gun Bagdasarian. Tucker, what the Lutz? Why was he a minus 200 something favorite in his last fight? This would have been a more appropriate pricing against Daniel Pineda. And Tucker Lutz is kind of what kicked off my in this economy type of idea, because I totally faded Tucker Lutz when he was a minus 200. And now coming in against Melsik Bagdasarian here, I mean, I think Melsik's the much better athlete. He's going to be a little taller, giving up a little reach. Melsik a little older. Melsik looking a little sketchy getting subbed by Josh Coulibaly, but Coulibaly puts on that type of pace, and he's a really good striker and a really good grappler. I think Tucker Lutz is a bit like choppy athletically. I think he's one of those like inflexible, muscly guys that's got a little power, but I don't think he packs as much pop as someone that's a little bit lighter and more explosive in their movements. I think he could be successful wrestling at times, but he doesn't set up his movement as well. I think Bagdasarian should be able to win at least 2 of these rounds on the back foot, landing the bigger shots, and then when he does land a good shot, kind of going in a flurry. It's just at the UFC level, we haven't seen Bagdasarian really capitalize on big finishes consistently. So it's tough to trust him at chalk, but Bagdasarian is my pick here. But with all this line movement coming in on Tucker Lutz, I'm definitely not playing Bagdasarian, even as the line gets shorter at minus 165. But that is my official pick. What do you got, Guru?
Man, again, like another fight. I feel like, Melsik Bagdasarian is somebody that hasn't necessarily lived up to his potential, right? Um, beats Dennis Bazookia to come in on a contender series, and then has a finish of Colin Anglin, who's no longer with the promotion. Decision win over Bruno Souza, and then Kulibao fight. I mean, you rewatch the fight, he's winning until he's not. He makes a mistake. Kulibao takes his back and submits him immediately. It was very poor. It was a very poor showing. Took his eye off the ball. I mean, I'm not really sure what else to say. I mean, also kind of kudos to Kulibao. Made the play, so to speak. Really read the situation well. Was feeding off the crowd, bloody nose, choked him the fuck out. Very impressive. Tucker Lutz is just, who is he? What's his identity? Like, what is he actually trying to do and accomplish in his, just in his career? Like, what's going on? He's strong in the clinch, decent submission defense, decent takedown fundamentals, but struggles against spam wrestlers. Kind of stiff in the stand up. I don't know. Just we haven't seen too much of him having success, right? I mean, just gets absolutely washed by Pat Sabatini. I mean, it's a 15-minute fight. He's like 11 minutes of control time. I mean, he's just a complete zero off his back. And Pineda, kind of follows that same game plan, pins him up against the cage, takes him down, chokes him out. Just not anything good. And now we, haven't seen him in, a couple months, 4 months here. So it's actually a fairly quick turnaround. And, Melsik is somebody that's going to give him a standing fight. So I definitely like this fight to go the distance, as I'm sure the bookies do as well. The line for fight going, minus 140. That's actually not as high as I thought it would be for over 2.5. So fight going the distance at like minus 110 is something that I'm going to be interested in when they do drop that line. I think if there is a finish, it's on the Melsik side. Like I said, I mean, Tucker Lutz is only 29 years old, right? Melsik seems like a young prospect, but he's actually older. But nothing I see super technically from this fight. Melsik, the bladed stance, the tough striking, I think he just might be a little too much for Tucker. Tucker's going to need to get control of him or hurt him. And again, we just haven't seen him do that in the UFC. I mean, he wins 2 contender series fights by decision and then beats Kevin Aguilar, who I believe is no longer with the promotion. So like, what is he doing? What's happening here? Kyle, what do you see happening here, most importantly?
Yeah, I just think Lutz is going to have to wrestle to win this fight because I give Bagdasarian a pretty big striking edge, especially early in the fight. I really like Bagdasarian in round 1. If there's a finish at all, I would expect it to be a knockout in round 1 by Melsik. But in round 2, I think the gap gets a little bit closer on the feet. And then in round 3, I mean, just with all the power and explosiveness that Bagdasarian throws in every shot, he's going to slow down as these fights move on. And I just think if Lutz is smart and he goes out there and looks to wrestle and doesn't give up on wrestling, if he can get the fight to the ground, he's going to tire out Melsik quicker, and it's just going to get easier and easier for him as the fight goes along, as long as he has 15-minute wrestling cardio. So I just kind of like the underdog odds on Lutz here at plus 140. I think it's a little bit closer to a pick 'em. And as long as he can have wrestling success, I could see him winning every round. So I'll take Lutz to win a decision here. Probably wins the second and third round.
Definitely, Bagdasarian, definitely someone that slows down. That's why I don't want to bet him, is that I do think he wins that second round, but it's going to be one of those ones where split decision, fight goes the distance. Like, people are going to be arguing about how, Bagdasarian's a fade going forward, but I ultimately predict him winning that close contest, but I totally could see it playing out the way that you're describing as well. Don't hate anyone getting in on that early dog money where it was like plus 180, plus 170 on Lutz also. That was a big line movement. All right, so we got our next fight here. Victoria Dudakova versus Estela Nunez. Oh, man. This is going to be a sketchy one. We got a great wrestler, well, a wrestling first prospect who's shown to have the cardio and the grit to fight through adversity, versus one of the least courageous and fight through adversity fighters that's really only good on distance on the feet in Estela Nunez. At plus 180, Nunez, I think she would look like minus 400 from distance, but I don't think Victoria is going to let this fight play out from distance so much. I think that she'll get in, use a bit of her offensive wrestling. It was a little sketchy watching one of her fights where she's actually kind of being controlled the first 2 minutes on the cage, gets taken down. But, I mean, as that fight goes on, she just ends up taking over. And I think Dvalinkova, as we see her kind of suffer through adversity, knee injury, but kind of finish out in her last fight, still find a way to get there. I think that's enough to beat someone in Nunez. But in this economy, you won't catch me betting her at minus 210. So Dvalinkova is the pick, but I got to pass on this one. What do you got, Guru?
Yeah, fuck this fight. Like, I mean, Dudikova, right? She blew out her ACL on Contender Series, right? I think that's basically why they still gave her the contract, because she loses round 2 and somehow hangs on top to win round 3. But it's just an extremely unimpressive performance. Sorry. And right, and it's just 24 years old, had to have some sort of major knee surgery. Haven't seen her fight in about a year now. So what is that, an 8-month surgery and then 2 months for camp, and here you are. So yeah, hopefully she should be okay, young, whatever. But yeah, don't know. Gonna have to wrestle Estela Nunez. Estela Nunez doesn't really show much resistance to takedowns, much ability to get up off her back. Just somebody that kind of showed decent promise, but has just not panned out at all, and is now basically, I believe, on the last fight on her deal, right? She's lost 3 fights. When she loses this one, she'll be on UFC roster watch on Tuesday. So that is what I expect. So I hate laying chalk on women's MMA, but you might have to here. Dudikova probably gets it done. Maybe you just take her decision with grandma's couch cushion. Or maybe over 1.5, right? Maybe you go that way. Maybe Dudikova gets a finish, right? Maybe she gets the submission. Maybe we fade the narrative a little bit that it's going to be another one of those boring decision women's fights, and maybe this girl chokes her out. That, my friends, is interesting. Under 2.5 plus 110. So Dudikova by submission. I mean, if they don't pay attention, they might give us like a +3, +400 line, and that would be worth it. Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I could definitely see her getting a submission here, especially if the wrestling's coming easy. I just think that the more success she has, the more Nunez is going to start to give up, and she just might give up her back and let Dudikova have the win and start looking for a new organization. But Nunez is dangerous on the feet. She's going to have a huge striking edge in this fight. If Dudikova can't land the takedowns, I think she's getting knocked out. And Nunez by knockout is probably +500. Nunez in the first round +1,000. I think those are in play if you're betting the Nunez side. But I just would be surprised to see her win in minutes here and take it on the scorecards. If this goes the distance, I would expect Dudikova to control the fight for 2 rounds at least, if not all 3. So I'm picking Dudikova to win this fight through the mat. It's just she's going to have to walk through some shots before she gets some takedowns, I think, and maybe she gets put away. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Estela Nunez revives her UFC career from the ashes here.
I don't know, but maybe just that inside the distance, instead of playing anything on a side here, I think you have the right idea overall, Guru. Because, I mean, there could be let's be serious. I mean, Nunez drops Haregi.
Yeah, but what the fuck?
There could be an injury.
That to me should have only just been like, why the fuck are we playing Yasmin Haregi at -400? Like, that should have meant to me. That doesn't mean that Estela Nunez can bang, in my opinion.
As we've also, I mean, when you watch her technique, though, she's got solid technique. It's just she can't maintain it for more than 3 to 4 minutes.
She can strike. I mean, it's the way she's won her fights. It's her only. I mean, she's won decisions, but I mean, it's KO or for her, really, right? She's not.
Yeah,
she's
going to slow down as the fight moves along, whether she's winning or not, really.
Exactly.
So it's just rounds 2 and 3 are probably all Dudikova gets there if it gets there.
Yep. I like that fight doesn't go the distance, though. I like that idea. We're going to move along here. We got, oh, baby, this is a good one. We got Austin Lights Out Lingo versus Milk Coffee Costa. I like the milkman, as John Sterling would call Melky Cabrera back in the day. The milkman delivers. And that's what I think happens this weekend. Mr. Costa came in on short notice against Thiago Moises, making his debut up a weight class. And the dude puts on an impressive performance in the early section of the fight. I just think as it plays out, him not having the full camp, he starts slowing down. But from an athleticism standpoint, he does a lot more things that stand out on paper than Austin Lingo. Lingo, he'll bang, man. I mean, he gets in the pocket. He's got solid boxing offensively. It's just he leaves a lot to be desired defensively, and I think Costa can exploit that between his kicking, his athletic game, covering distance and switching stances. And Costa's grappling is also super legit. I mean, Moises would have finished him a lot earlier if that was not the case. So I think at his proper weight class against a guy that's willing to take some damage, I think they're giving Costa a bit of an easier matchup than he had in his debut. I will say for Lingo, though, the dude is a grinder, and he is a good veteran. So if you're taking a dog shot, good luck. I'm just not getting there myself. I like Costa as like one of my more confident pieces. And at minus 205, I feel like he could look like a hindsight minus like 500 where he gets one of these round 1, round 2 finishes dominantly.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those very interesting fights, right? I did take like a little stab on Lingo versus Nate Landwehr, and that didn't work out for me. I thought that Lingo would have decent striking. That's where he wants to be. He's a boxer. And that if Landwehr gave him that opportunity, maybe he could touch him. He was unable to do so. So now he's going to have somebody that's way more willing to grapple with him and put him in a position where he doesn't want to be. Dude already has a submission loss. I don't really see him as somebody that's well versed on the ground. And I like Costa to get it done, like you said, making a debut against Thiago Moises. Yeah, it was short notice, but I mean, you don't put him against Thiago Moises if he's a can, and he's not. He's got. He throws fast combination. He's got a high variety in his striking attack. He's got good kicks. And like we said, he's willing to mix up the grappling, has 6 submission wins. So give me Costa. And honestly, I think he's parlayable. Like, might as well just take a money line and see if there's something else you like. But Costa should get it done.
I would I'm not parlaying Costa, but I do think he is the rightful favorite. I just think he wins more times than he loses this fight because he's got more tools. He's got more ways to win. His kicks versus Lingo's boxing, really, except that Costa has hands as well. He's got better footwork. I think he's going to be the faster fighter of the two on the feet. But I don't think he dominates Lingo anywhere. And at minus 205, if this goes the distance, I'd be sweating trusting the judges on that one. I think I would favor him closer to like a minus 165 or something like that. So I'm not going to be betting Costa, and it would even be dog or pass if I was to bet the money line. But I don't hate a plus 180 by decision on Costa. I do think this goes the distance. I think I will be picking him as the guy who won the fight. But we'll see what the experts say in Chris Lee and Sal D'Amato.
Yeah, they've definitely had some. They've had some interesting ideas. Yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea. And anytime we're talking about parlay and chalky favorites, that's kind of the alarm bell. Is this not just a line issue that we should be just sitting out and learning something from Costa in this fight, who's 0-1 in the UFC and has 6 career losses, 3 of which are by finish. So
listen, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, okay, 3 of which are by finish. Two of them are by submission. One of them is from Thiago Moises. Right. So even if you don't know anything about him, we can at least extrapolate that Austin Lingo is 3 steps down from like top 15 ranked Thiago Moises. Is that a fair statement? Fair. Okay,
that's fair. All right, and if you want to take the lighter approach, I have a parlay piece that we can get into later.
Well, now I'm listening.
All right, but the thing is, you got to keep it light. We can't go too crazy on these parlays. It's MMA.
Got to keep it what? Gotta keep it
Light.
what?
Light.
What?
Light.
No,
Like,
boy.
look at this.
Yeah,
Look
no.
at this fast skin I got here.
No, we
gotta keep it
listen,
light like that.
we preach gambling responsibly around y'all.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm laying $625 to win 100 on Jack Della Maddalena. So I think this is the order of these fights, right? We got Jack Della minus 625. We got Basil Fez at plus 440. It reminds me of like the Great Mouse Detective, Basil on the case. That's a crazy reference. But anyways, we got Jack Della. I mean, this guy willing to fight anyone. He's making the second weight cut in 2 weeks here, down to 170. I mean, you would think short notice you should have this guy covered. I mean, Hafez, he's lost every which way. 1 knockout, 2 subs, 3 decisions. In most of the fights I've watched him, he starts out pretty strong, but I mean, in the Wells fight, he slows down as it goes, and he definitely loses round 3 there. I don't know how
I'm sorry,
how we get a
what?
draw.
I'm sorry, what did you say? You don't have his stats right at all. Where did you get these numbers from? He has 3 losses in his entire career.
Oh my goodness. Goodness.
What is that?
I updated this midday, so I definitely saw that we didn't have Basil in there.
And
so,
so I don't. So not only
this
is that
this is Austin Lingo and Costa's stats.
Yeah, so it's and your breakdown's wrong. Hafez has never been finished before.
Damn.
So I don't.
Well, that's what I was saying. But he slowed down in round 3 in the 2 fights that I did watch his tape on. So fuck me. I gotta say Della Maddalena round 3 or decision, even though he probably gets this done earlier because it's a short notice matchup for Hafez.
Listen, there's a lot of things that are concerning about this fight, none of which have to do with your insane breakdown. He fights Anthony Ivy in 2022. Former, I think he was at least in the UFC, or they tried to. Dude is not good at all, and it goes to split. I mean, he does have gas problems. He gasses out. He's willing to grapple, which is very interesting. Makes for a cool wrinkle possibly here versus Jack Della Maddalena. The guy is a decent fighter, man. You see his shape. The shape is no fucking joke. Guy is absolutely yoked. He's got a nice 1-2, powerful overhand right. He seems a little limited in his striking variety, though. And he really lacks head movement, which could very much be a problem for him versus Jack. The thing is that, you know, at this line, it's like another full 170 weight cut for Jack within a week. I am a little concerned. I think, you know, if you wanted to take a crazy shot on Basil, like round 1, not like he catches him, it wouldn't be the most insane thing in the world. It really, really wouldn't. We've seen a lot of shit go down, but yeah, I mean, Jack should have it done. He's a fairly well-rounded fighter, man. I mean, he's just really solid, but that weight cut does have me scared. Let's see how he looks. I know he has a tough weight cut. He didn't even look great last week. He looked okay. So we'll see how he looks this week. This dude Basil absolutely deserves to be in the UFC, and very interested to see what he does with this fight and moving forward.
I think it's another. I mean, I'm not going to lay minus 625 on JDM here, but I do think he should win. I think he should finish this guy. But at the same time, I think he's going to struggle in the first round because Hafez is strong. He's powerful, and everything he does is with bad intentions. Every punch he throws is trying to knock JDM's head off or use it to get his takedowns, and that's where he really wants to be, is on the ground. I think he probably will land some takedowns here. But when you get these explosive wrestlers who start to tire on short notice against top-level competition, I think he's got 1 round in him. And if he doesn't get a finish in that first round, I think it's all JDM after that. He probably pieces him up, finishes him in the second round. But, I mean, at minus 625, there's no value. After the first round, maybe we get JDM at minus 170. Then we could be talking. So, live bet JDM is the way I'll be looking at this, but I think he gets a finish, probably the second round. If not the second, then the third.
What a great breakdown. I couldn't agree more. Basil's going to give him a round of hell. And like you said, he's going to be, who has he fought that's actually been willing to mix it up the way that Basil is? This is not a shoe-in short notice debut. You know, this is not your cakewalk. This is a tough matchup, which is
Yeah,
why
I think it's a
Justin.
much tougher matchup than his previous opponent, Josh.
Exactly, which is
Josiah Harrell.
yes, 1,000%. Which exactly, Justin. That's why this dude's not minus 1,000 because he shouldn't be, because Josiah Harrell is much worse than Basal Hafez. Like this is not cool for Jack. That's a tough. This shows Jack's real toughness and his commitment to wanting to fight. Right, so he was gonna fight on a pay-per-view. He forces the UFC hand, stays in Vegas, and forces his way onto this Apex card just because he wanted to fight. Body's peaking, he's ready. So, I mean, I give him a lot of credit for that, but this is a tough one. So yeah, I like that. I like the Jack round 2, round 3.
That's so cool. Yeah, that was my
Bassel's,
original
Bassel's
thought.
cardio falls out.
That was my thought that I didn't earn or get to earlier. So as we come back, it was sprinkles on JDM in round 2 and round 3 because Hafez might be able to get a back take. Angelosa has success wrestling Della Maddalena. And so does even Denny Roberts gets him in a front choke for a little bit before he gets knocked. I think Hafez could have that success like we talked about. So pre-fight, if you got to get some bets out, do a little sprinkle, little round 2 and round 3. Props aren't out quite yet for it, but hopefully we get some good ones. So next fight here. This one I did not during the middle of the day at work. So we got Evan Elder minus 295 and Genaro Valdez at plus 245. Elder going to be 5 years younger here, but everything else matches up pretty well. Valdez brings hell in the matchups and comes forward on the front foot, throwing crazy. And Elder loves playing on the back foot, switching stances, throwing clean counters, working the body, has some offensive wrestling in his own right. I get why Elder's the favorite. The line seems a bit wide for a guy in Elder that, realistically, he was winning the 2 rounds like we talked about against Sadikov, but on paper, he's 0-2 in the UFC and is now a minus 295 favorite. So can't play it. I'm going to pick him. And Valdez is probably either going to drop him or hurt him at some point, but Elder should be able to win out with his back foot countering style as the fight plays out and mix in some wrestling. Like we saw Natan Levy have some success. I think Evan Elder can have some success wrestling just like that. So Valdez, he's exciting. I can see why taking a big shot and a big dog could be fun. But I think, he's kind of KO or bust in this spot, and I don't think Elder is easy to finish.
Yeah, I actually tend to agree with you here. I don't love the price tag, obviously. I think we're getting pushed out by the bookies. But yeah, Genaro Valdez, he's had I don't want to say a tough run, but he just doesn't necessarily have the defensive grappling capabilities to deal with somebody like Natan Levy and gets washed out. And then, getting dropped 6 times by Matt Favola. I mean, how many times in this podcast we got to talk about our boy, the Steamroller? The dude's a fucking savage.
Steamroller.
So, yeah, getting knocked down 6 times, knocked out 3 times by Matt Favola, it happens. But, Evan Elder, you can't, he's 0-2 in the UFC, but you can't take it like that. Both losses, you've come back on him with more resolve and a more appreciation. The dude has shown so much positive shit in 2 losses. I don't even know if you've seen another fighter that's done that. He takes short notice debut up a weight class against Preston Parsons, shows out, tough fight, gives the dude a run for his money. Then is, as we already discussed on the Nazim fight, is winning 2 rounds cleanly and then gets cut bad, fight stopped immediately. Rare, but clean. So happens. Would imagine he won't make the same mistake here. Would imagine that he gets to strike green here and will get it done against a guy who's brittle and is really just one path, right? Very binary, right? He needs to get that knockout, and he needs to do it soon. He needs to do it early. He doesn't have much time to do it. So not a lot of experience either. Young fighter. I mean, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 round 1 finishes of his 7 10 finish wins. So like it's not very many. So what do you think, Kyle? You think
Yeah,
Evan's safe?
I'm picking every lightweight on this card over Valdez. I'm picking every featherweight on this card over Valdez too. He's got 4 minutes of gas if he's lucky, and it's just the same thing over and over. He's going to throw a 3 to 7 punch haymaker combination, and if none of those knock his opponent out, he's going for a takedown immediately after the last one, and that'll work on low-level competition. If he doesn't get the knockout, he can get the guy down, and he can go for his ground and pound finish, or they give up the back and he gets his rear naked choke. That's all he's got every fight. So if that can happen here in the first 2 minutes against Elder, then he's going to get a finish. But I think after that 2-minute storm, Elder just takes over and he's going to be so much better than this guy everywhere. He could take him down if he wants. He could piece him up on the feet if he wants. He could finish him if he wants. He could spar him for 15 minutes, whatever he wants to do. All Elder here. I'm not high on these, 5-minute or bust, low skill type of guys. So I'll never pick Valdez in the UFC. I'm sure of it.
Like it. Yeah. He hasn't done anything to even garner a dart throw. Like there's just, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I can't argue with success.
What? What does that even mean? What does that pertain to? What are you talking about?
I don't know. It's a good
Nothing
question.
at all. Why don't you smoke some shit and tee up this next fight?
Jesus. Well, we got Tyson Nam at plus 310. We got Azat Maxim Kazakh, another nickname Kazakh for another guy from Kazakhstan. So we got 39 years old for Tyson Nam in the flyweight division. Oh boy, how did that work out last time versus Bueno Silva for you? And Azat Maxim is a guy where you watch a few fights ago. It was like I forget the guy's name. It was crazy. It had multiple J's. But Maxim gets into like a war. He knocks this guy down like 2 or 3 times. Then he gets knocked down and is starting to get wrestled later on. But ends up fighting through adversity, getting the finish in the 3rd round. I think what I've seen from Maxim now, looking to his most recent fight in Octagon, I mean, the dude is absolutely filled out. He's a tank, and he finishes this 8-0 prospect. I mean, he just gets to smashing right away. Azat Maxim, I mean, super impressed in what I saw from improvements in. I mean, he had like a solid fundamental 1-2, but he really added a bit more explosion to it and can rely on his wrestling too if he doesn't feel comfortable on the feet. Tyson Nam, he might be good at stuffing an initial takedown and using his footwork. Small octagon works against him here. Maxim all day. I mean, minus 410 for a debutant facing someone with 1-punch knockout power. Don't love it, but I mean, Maxim's the pick, and we got to find the prop. It could be submission, could be by finish. Yeah, right? It's submission, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
The dude has 6 wins by submission. I mean, it is 5 by KO. It's just that Tyson Nam is kind of tough. I mean, he has been KO'd 3 times, though. Yeah, but they were a long time ago. They weren't even in the UFC.
It's why I'm leaning more like inside the distance,
In the distance, yeah, but at a minus 410, that's going to be minus money, too.
Yeah, of course. So it's like it's tough to find a play on a fight where you don't have.
It's also just tough because Azat has his own holes with striking defense and things of that nature. Like he's still pretty green in a lot of areas, but I mean, he's absolutely relentless with his grappling and his takedowns, and he floats in top control through scramble position. I mean, he's impressive. So I expect him to finish Tyson Nam. Maybe we take like a round 1-2 type prop, like round grouping instead of the finish, like the finish early instead. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like Tyson Nam I wouldn't be surprised if he hung it up here. And they're just using him for name value at this point. Like, okay, here's our, like, how rare is it to have a 17-0 prospect come in? Like, that's rare. 16-0 I mean, that's not, it's just not usual. So I know they're excited about this. That's why they're giving him hey, and I'm going to say it before Kyle does. You got an 11-year age differential. So I'm really liking that for Azat here. So Kyle, since I stole your thunder, what do you got?
Truth. Although the 11 the 11 years younger is 67% favorites, and this guy's over 80%, so it doesn't quite work on this one, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the one guy to be excited about here is the guy the UFC wants to win is him. I just don't know how you line him minus 410 unless he's going to get the fight to the ground. I think he could dominate on the ground. He could get some slams and then grab his back real quick, land some. He's real aggressive when he gets the fight to the ground. But on the feet, he's just as patient as Tyson Nam. Tyson Nam is basically knockout or bust in every fight because he sits back and doesn't throw enough strikes, but he's got big time power. He's got very technical striking. He's just not going for any wrestling at all. So if anyone's wrestling, it's definitely as that, and he should be wrestling. But if he doesn't, he's got good enough striking to beat Nam. Very fast jab and a straight right. I think he could knock Nam out with that. And he follows it up with a takedown when he wants to. So I definitely like Azat. I just don't think I'm going to be laying minus 410. I would rather, if we think he's getting a finish, give me the minus 125 on that or whatever it is. I'm just going to sit back. I want to see it in the UFC. I think this is a good test to see how good he is.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that the under 2.5 is a minus 145 in this matchup. You would think if this fight goes the way that we're kind of putting it here, that Maxim inside the distance might not be as big of a minus money as we're expecting. Like we might be able to find some plus money on a round 1 or 2 if we really think he's going to be that dominant and avoid having to risk that much exposure if we even decide to at all on a minus 410 favorite here. Any final thoughts here, Guru, on this one?
Yeah, no, I mean, I like Azat, but it's like one of those creepy fights that like Tyson Nam flatlines him 2 minutes in, O'Day Osborne style, and you're like, damn, was that really worth it?
That's why I'm like, why is the under? I thought the under would be a bit more because I feel like Nam's winning equity is purely in the one punch knockout. I don't think he's going to go out here and win by volume or win by wrestling. I think Maxim.
That has nothing to do with the way that they do the over under.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then Maxim, I feel like he should have the ability to use his wrestling, ground and pound, and submission threat to finish Nam. That's what I'm saying. And it covers you on both sides. And it's a minus 145. So you just
want to, yeah. You want to take you want to take under 2.5 plus 185. Yeah. No, under 2.5 minus 445.
Or like fight doesn't start round 3. Maybe we can get that almost at plus money. I think it could be worth a little shot.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, again, it's still expecting violence. It's just, yeah. Tyson Nam, like Kyle said, KO or bust. So I like Azat.
Beautiful. We got Alexander Munoz versus CM3, CD3, Carl Deaton, the third. Munoz coming off a big-time layoff his last fight against Luis Pena back in April of 2021.
Violent Bob Ross.
Violent Bob Ross. Yeah.
By the way, he won that fight, my opinion. Wins round 1 and 2. That's it. Violent Bob Ross wins round 3. He wins round 1 and 2, in my opinion, Munoz. So that's, you can already.
Interesting.
Where you can see I'm already starting to feel about.
So Alexander Munoz, I mean, what he has shown is that he has good offensive wrestling. He has good takedown game. He's kind of sloppy in the way that he strikes on the feet, but he's willing to come forward, eat some damage, and throw big shots. Carl Deaton, good initial takedown defense, but coming in on short notice against a guy like Selecki, he's going to get your back and make you exhausted, and that's why he eventually gets the finish. But I will say I was impressed how long Deaton did survive some of those exchanges. I just don't think his change in camp is going to really make enough changes in just a few months. And even though he did try getting up, he seemed to have a good defensive jiu-jitsu game. And maybe that's why this fight would go the distance. I got to lean towards Munoz as the pick, even though there's no shot I'm playing this fight. So Munoz minus 175, God bless you if you're taking it. But I'm picking Munoz. That'll be the direction, at least for the straight play.
I do really like Munoz here. He's the wrestling coach at Team Alpha Male, right? So he stays active he's like I said, I felt like he beat Luis Pena, who should still probably be in the UFC. Beat the domestic violence charges, whatever it was, are dropped. You'll probably see him return. I would think at some point soon. A very talented fighter. And you see Carl Deaton the
Didn't he
third.
get finished on the regional scene?
Who?
Luis Pena. Didn't he get finished like in between?
Let's see.
Michael.
He did actually.
Yeah,
He got
no, he's not coming back to the UFC. Fuck
You're
that.
right. He got finished in his last.
That's a
fight.
joke. Nah, fuck that. Fuck
They
that
actually were rebooking that fight. Anyway, but yeah, at this point, no, probably not. He was a decent prospect. He's gotten old now, but anyway, Munoz is somebody who is 33 years old, trying to resume his career here. Deaton came in on short notice, right, for against Joe Selecki. Gave up his back immediately, was triangled, was defending on the fence, and he did a good job defending that rear naked choke, we'll be honest. But I don't think Munoz is a threat to get the finish here unless it is by KO, because I mean he just walks forward and throws with complete abandon, because he doesn't give a fuck, because he wants to crash in with you and take you to the ground anyway. So that's where he wants to be. So he's throwing and moving forward, and he throws hard. So I just don't really like Deaton. I don't really know where Deaton's path to victory is. Munoz is somebody who's never been finished and is tough. So I really actually do like Munoz here. Got to see what shape he comes in, stuff like that. But you've seen in his UFC career, not only is he a good wrestler, but he is a spam wrestler. He is a chain wrestler. He will throw numerous takedown attempts and land numerous takedowns. So I expect him to have his way on the ground with Mr. Deaton and his ridiculous haircut. Kyle, what do you think?
What's the rating 1 to 10 on Deaton's hair? We need to know.
In terms of what?
No, this one's for Kyle. Big Marley. What you got here, man?
From Michael Litteris.
Yes. Rate Deaton's hair. What do you got, Kyle? What do you got?
I'm gonna give him a 1.8 on that haircut there.
It's brutal.
What do you guys think?
I think his barber's clippers broke halfway through, so I'm giving it a -3.
Wow, I was gonna say -3 also. We're on the same wavelength on a 1 to 10 scale. That's where it ends up. So yeah, unprofessionally done. Now for the professional breakdown, what do you got here?
Yeah, Munoz, he's been off for 2 years. He tore his ACL, and I guess he had complications with that as well. So it's just tough to know what we're going to get from him. And at -175, we need to get a good version of him. So if he is the same guy, he's still explosive. He can land takedowns and have 15 minutes of wrestling cardio. Then I like him here. I think he wins 2 or all 3 rounds with a smart wrestling game plan, because Deaton just does not have good takedown defense. And off his back, he's just content hanging out there rather than giving all the effort to try and get up. So I like Munoz to win 29-28 or 30-27 here. It's just, man, I don't know that I want to lay that price tag. I'd probably rather take a shot on him by decision and just get a better number that way. But I like the wrestling from Munoz more than I like the striking from Deaton. I think the striking's pretty close. I think it'd be more so volume on Deaton's part and then power on Munoz. What do you favor, the harder shots or more volume? So I'd rather fall back on the wrestling. Give me Munoz.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but a guy coming into the UFC at 6-0, you would imagine he has more than 3 finishes on the regional scene. I love that Munoz decision idea. That's I had that written down in our notes section here. Love that.
Yeah, and I like the fight to go the distance in general. I like all that. So yeah,
beautiful,
without a doubt.
So for our final fight of the evening, what we shall say is the
curtain jerker.
The curtain jerker, the other type of jerker.
The battle of the OnlyFans.
The OnlyFans special.
Loser has to shut down their page.
Oh, God. We can't threaten their real source of income. We know the UFC isn't their main source of income because...
Well, I mean, actually, Evan Smith's main source of income was stealing packages during COVID, so...
Jesus Christ. All right, so now that we've covered all the important narrative aspects of this fight, Christ, we have to break down Ashley Evans Smith versus Eileen Perez.
No, we don't. I like Eileen Perez. The line has swung even more in her favor throughout the week. I think she's more aggressive. I think she's scrappier. I think she'll take it to the ground. I think her striking is decent. She's just relatively decent all around. And I think she's just going to smash Ashley Evans-Smith, who's here to finish her USADA suspension and probably her UFC contract.
Yeah, parlay with Milkman. That's the degenerate advice I have for you. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. But Big Marley, any final thoughts here on this fight and on this card?
Yeah, I do like Perez on this one because if she can get takedowns, I expect her to dominate Smith on the ground, maybe even finish with the ground and pound stoppage. But if she can't get the takedowns, or if Smith beats her to it, I think Smith could have success in top control. I think Smith is the better striker, but she's 36 years old. She's been away from the sport for 2 years. I doubt we're going to see a better version of her. We could see a better version of Perez each time out. I don't really like her striking that much, but she can maul girls on the ground, so I think she could do that here. Probably missed the line at minus 200, so I don't know that I'm going to be playing it, but I like her more than Costa anyway, so I think she would be my parlay piece of the two, and then I would look somewhere else. But right now, I have no bets on the card. I had one bet, and it was on Josh Parisian at plus
Me too.
155, so that's gone, and now I got to figure out what I'm going to do on this card.
I had that out too, plus 140, and that got stolen from us. Those fuckers.
Yeah. It's a bit sloppy and sketchy, but I want to thank everyone in the chat for making it this far. If you haven't already, please like the video. Please subscribe to our channel. We are on the march towards 500 subscribers. Appreciate everyone in the chat. What up, Blood Money? Appreciate you. Great show and guests. And that's it, man. Best bets, best guests, always free. Make sure you follow Kyle's content. Kyle, before we pass this off to Guru to do his thing and close the show out, any final words for the fans out there?
Now, man, good luck to everybody on this card. Hopefully we make it a winning card, and that'll make it worth it, but definitely not my favorite one on paper for watching value, for betting value. So maybe I'll even find other plans. We'll see what happens. We'll see how many plays I come up with. But good luck to you guys. You can follow me at Twitter, Big Marley 3. I'll be back on Friday on YouTube over at the Ship It Nation channel doing a DFS breakdown on the card. I'll be doing that every Friday over there at Ship It Nation. And then my bets are over at BigMarleyMMA.com. So hopefully I can find some. We'll see. Good luck to you guys. Good luck to everybody listening.
Kyle, seriously, thanks so much for coming on, man. Really good to be friends with you and get to have you come in our space and come kick it and hang out, man. One of the hardworking, sharp guys in the biz, nice guy in the biz. So make sure you guys give him a file if you haven't already. Yeah, listen, TV and I may or may not have different plans already this Saturday than watching fights. So
I don't blame you.
It is what it is. It happens. But we love fights, and we'll be tuned in with them, and we'll be on Twitter. Listen, make sure you guys follow my amazing co-host at TV Scouting MMA, Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, and Tapology. You can follow me, the Guru Scouting MMA, Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, and Tapology. Thanks so much for joining us. We will be back next week. Who do we got next week? We got UFC London. Who's the headliner?
Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning to you. It's
Aspinall and Tybura.
Yeah, it is Aspinall and Tybura.
Oh
Aspinall
God,
coming off an injury. Interesting fight, man. I mean, Aspinall, if he returns back to form, should just be fine, right? So
maybe that's our parlay piece right there.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I like that too. All right, now you got me cooking. Oh my God! Don't worry, you can't miss next week's co-main event of Molly McCann versus Julia Stolyarenko, if she can even make weight. So can't miss that card. Who do we got next week?
Jeez, I don't know. Wrap it up, baby. Get us out of here. That's it.
Take care. Brush your hair. An hour.